Ambassador Krax Nebula adjusted his ceremonial collar and sighed. After negotiating 376 interspecies treaties, he thought he'd seen everything. Then the humans arrived. Is that it? Grand Counselor Zine whispered, her 4 eyes blinking asynchronously as she stared at the viewscreen. The human vessel, if you could dignify it with such a term, looked like someone had welded scrap metal to a cargo container. It wobbled into the docking bay, leaking what appeared to be actual water vapor. Actual water vapor. How did they even make it past the Cygnus arm? Counselor Davrik snorted, his facial tentacles curling with amusement. Must have pushed that bucket the whole way. The council chamber erupted in poorly concealed laughter. Krax maintained his diplomatic composure, though internally he shared their assessment. This species had barely achieved FTL travel 50 years ago. What business did they have requesting admission to the Galactic Council? Protocol demanded they receive the humans anyway. Rules were rules. Ambassador Nebula, the Grand Counselor's voice boomed across the chamber. Please escort our guests to the negotiation table. Krax bowed deeply. As the Council wishes. The human delegation consisted of exactly 3 individuals. No security detail. No advisors. Just 3 pink, fragile-looking creatures wearing what appeared to be cloth coverings instead of proper exoskeletons. Ambassador Eliza Blackwood, said the lead human, extending a 5-fingered appendage. Representing Earth and her colonies. Colonies? Plural? With that ship? The Council awaits, Krax replied, ignoring the offered hand. The negotiations, if you could call them that, were bizarre from the start. The humans requested not 1, not 2, but 17 separate trade routes. They asked for mining rights on uninhabited worlds. They suggested cultural exchange programs with every major species. Preposterous. Counselor Plek rumbled, his crystalline skin reflecting angry red patterns. You arrive in a ship that belongs in a museum, yet demand concessions like a Tier 1 civilization. Eliza Blackwood smiled. Not the grimace smile of the Vargulians or the threat smile of the Drens. A genuine, calm smile that made Krax's spine tingle uncomfortably. We understand your concerns, she said, her voice steady. Earth simply wishes to join the galactic community on fair terms. Fair? Another counselor laughed. You bring nothing to the table. Throughout the increasingly hostile rejection, Blackwood maintained that unnerving smile. Her companions took notes but said nothing. When the council formally denied all requests, she simply nodded. We appreciate your consideration, Blackwood said, rising from her seat. We'll be departing shortly. As the humans gathered their primitive data devices, Krax noticed something odd. Blackwood had a small device on her wrist. For just a moment, a holographic display flickered, showing what appeared to be a massive fleet deployment pattern. Then it was gone, and so were the humans, leaving behind only confusion and an uncomfortable feeling that something wasn't quite right. Krax had negotiated with hundreds of species. None had ever been this calm about total rejection. None. Something about the humans bothered Krax. Their calm acceptance of rejection wasn't normal. Most species begged, threatened, or at least tried to negotiate. The humans just left. So Krax did what any respectable diplomat would do. He spied on them. Computer, access all available data on species designation, human, he commanded his private terminal. Warning. Limited information available, the computer responded. What Krax found disturbed him. Humans had survived not 1 but 3 near-extinction events on their home planet. Their history was a chaotic mess of wars, yet somehow they kept bouncing back, stronger each time. They fought each other with atomic weapons? Krax muttered, eyes widening. And survived? More concerning, despite their primitive-looking ship, humans had colonized 9 planets in their system in just 40 years. Their technological progression curve was nearly vertical. "Ambassador Nebula, your presence is requested in the council chamber," his communicator buzzed. The council had voted, officially, to reject all human terms. Unanimously. Krax wasn't surprised, but a knot formed in his secondary stomach anyway. "I'll inform the humans," he said. When Krax reached the human quarters, they were already packing. "But I haven't delivered the council's decision yet," Krax said, confused. Ambassador Blackwood smiled that disconcerting smile again. "We figured it out. No worries. You don't seem disappointed," Krax observed carefully. "Oh, we got exactly what we came for," said one of Blackwood's companions, a stocky human called Jackson. "And what was that?" Krax asked. "Data," Blackwood replied simply. She tapped her wrist device. Lots and lots of data. As the humans prepared their rickety vessel for departure, Krax lingered near their communication array. His translator device picked up a transmission, Phase 1 complete. Green light for Phase 2. "Tell Admiral Parker the Council responded exactly as predicted." "Admiral?" Krax felt his scales flatten in alarm. "Departing in 5 minutes, the station AI announced." Council Security Chief Grell approached, looking troubled. "That human ship? It's practically empty. Minimal life support, no weapons, barely any engines. It's like they sent a dummy." "What about their communication systems?" Krax asked urgently. "State of the art. Better than ours," Grell admitted. "They could transmit to their home system instantly." The human ship detached from the station with a hiss of escaping atmosphere. As it limped away, Krax couldn't shake the feeling they'd just made a terrible mistake. "Track that vessel," he ordered. "Already trying," Grell responded. "But it's gone." "What do you mean, gone?" "That heap couldn't possibly, it vanished. No energy signature. No trail. Nothing." Krax stared at the empty space where the ship had been. This was no technological backwater species. This was something else entirely. 3 months later, Krax couldn't sleep. Reports flooded in from border systems. Strange occurrences. Unusual activity. "Ambassador, urgent message from the Talari sector." His assistant's voice woke him at what humans would call 3 a.m. "What now?" Krax groaned. "The Talari have signed an exclusive trade agreement with the humans." Krax sat bolt upright. Impossible. But it wasn't just the Talari. The Pendax Federation had signed a military alliance with Earth. The Zorians had granted humans mining rights on 3 moons. The Vrel had exchanged FTL technology. How are they doing this? Grand Counselor Zine demanded during an emergency briefing. "They're contacting everyone separately, offering customized terms." "That's not the worst part," Krax said grimly. "Look at these trade routes." The holographic map showed new shipping lanes cutting across previously established Council routes. Goods that once flowed through Council hubs now bypassed them entirely. 6 major trading centers had already reported revenue drops of 40%. "They're bleeding us dry," Counselor Davrik whispered, tentacles drooping. Without firing a shot. "Emergency Council session," Zine ordered. "All members." The Council chamber, usually a model of decorum, buzzed with panic. Species that hadn't spoken in generations huddled together, comparing notes on human encounters. "Order!" Zine shouted. "We must establish a unified response to these human incursions." The chamber doors opened. "Perhaps I could save you some time," said a familiar voice. Ambassador Blackwood strolled in, flanked by representatives from 12 different species, all council members. You're not authorized to be here, Zine sputtered. Actually, she is, said the Talari representative. As our diplomatic proxy. What is the meaning of this? Krax demanded. Blackwood smiled that unnerving smile. The ship we arrived in 3 months ago? It wasn't our only ship. It was a test. To see how you'd treat someone you thought was weaker than you. A test that most of you failed spectacularly, added the human called Jackson, now dressed in what was clearly a military uniform adorned with insignia. Admiral Jackson, Blackwood introduced him. Commander of the human expeditionary fleet. What fleet? Davrik scoffed. We've detected no, the entire station shuddered. The massive viewscreen activated automatically. Outside, appearing from nowhere, hung hundreds of sleek vessels. Not cobbled together junk. Advanced warships with weapons ports glowing ominously. That fleet, Blackwood said. The room fell silent. Now then, she continued, placing a data pad on the table. Let's discuss those 17 trade routes again, shall we? The council chamber erupted into chaos. Species that had existed in peace for millennia were suddenly shouting, threatening, and, in the case of the Mendari, beginning their ritual pre-war dances. How did they hide an entire fleet? Councillor Plek demanded. Our sensors should have detected them. Quantum displacement technology, Blackwood said casually, as if explaining something to a child. We've had it for about 20 years now. The implications were staggering. Humans could move undetected through any system. Attack without warning. Listen to any conversation. When the initial panic subsided, Krax pulled Blackwood aside. You lied to us, he accused. We presented ourselves exactly as we were, she replied. You all made assumptions based on appearances. Not our fault you judged a book by its cover. But why? Why this elaborate deception? Blackwood's smile faded. We needed to know who would treat us with respect even when they thought we were weak. Those species, she gestured to her 12 allies, passed the test. They engaged with us honestly, without mockery. So this was all a moral evaluation? Krax asked incredulously. Partially, Admiral Jackson interjected. It was also practical. History taught us that entering galactic politics from a position of perceived weakness is dangerous. Better to know who's trustworthy before revealing your true strength. The council meeting resumed with new terms on the table. The power dynamics that had stood for 10,000 years shifted in a single day. There's something I still don't understand, Krax said later, as he and Blackwood finalized the new agreements. How could you be so certain this would work? Blackwood exchanged a look with Jackson. We weren't the first humans you encountered, she revealed. 30 years ago, one of our scout ships made contact with your predecessor, Ambassador Vral. Krax froze. Impossible. There's no record, Vral deleted it, after telling us exactly how the council operated. He warned us to come prepared. Blackwood's eyes twinkled. He was a lot like you. Curious. Principled. Willing to look beyond appearances. As the humans departed for a celebration with their new allies, Krax watched them with newfound respect. Humans. They looked so simple. Sounded so straightforward. Their bodies were soft, their ships initially unimpressive. Yet they had outmaneuvered a council of the galaxy's oldest civilizations using nothing but patience, cunning, and an extraordinary understanding of psychology. Krax made a mental note: never judge a species by its ship. Especially if there's only one.